Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. I trust the weekend was good. I'd like to first thank Bonnie for the interview today on CNBC Africa. It always makes for an interesting conversation with him. My piece over the weekend is about crude oil and the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Many years ago, and when I was a boarder at Westminster School, I used to like wandering the streets of central London. On the weekend, my typical circuit would pass by 10 Downing Street, Trafalgar Square, St James's and Green Parks, and I would oftentimes end up at Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park. Speaker's Corner was a place where anyone could stand up and speak about anything they chose. I'm talking about a period when the then Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini was upending the peacock throne, when Mrs. Thatcher was upending the Labour Party, and Blondie was top of the charts. The curious thing about these Sunday meanderings around London was that I would always come across a fellow, a walking billboard as it were, and on the front and on the back would be written, "The end is nigh." It was like a Paul Auster novel. I would see him in Trafalgar Square, then he might pop up at Speaker's Corner, and once even in the cloisters of Westminster Abbey. This kind of thing can unhinge a teenager. Why am I bringing this up from the recesses of my memory's mausoleum? Well, the end is nigh for crude oil and oil producers from Caracas to Luanda, from Riyadh to Abuja. They've been squealing like pigs, but they're about to be served up as rashers. Oil in New York closed below $44 a barrel on Friday and has more to fall. Think about this, given South Sudan's contractual arrangements, they might soon be paying for each barrel they extract from the ground. Oil is now in free fall. The end is nigh for the oil-based rentier economies. President Obama, the first Kenyan-American president of the United States, an oil warfare specialist, has scored the equivalent of a hat-trick at the World Cup in how he has advanced the US national interest by using the price of oil as a geopolitical spear. Oil-based economies are going to contract, currencies which have already collapsed are going to be routed, and Greek-style austerity will be the order of the day. The meltdown is coming. Kapuscinski said, if the crowd disperses, goes home, does not reassemble, we say the revolution is over. The revolution is only just beginning. Closer to home, quite a few folks have begun throwing in the towel and thinking the end is nigh with respect to the shilling and the securities exchange. The central bank made the right call last week, leaving the CBR unchanged. I said this to Bloomberg before the announcement last Monday. He can afford to take a pass this time and leave the key rate at 11.5%. I said higher rates are not helping to stem the shilling slide, and the currency's weakness is yet to translate into faster inflation. The central banker has, however, tightened the overnight rate to above 22%. I commend the CBK on a job well done. We might even see the shilling dip below triple digits soon. The collapse in crude oil is singularly helpful for the shilling. If not for the oil-based hopes of Turkana, forget it for a decade. The stock market had been in a free fall. Through Wednesday closing, the all-share was minus 10.48% in 2015. NSE 20 through Wednesday closing down 15.55%. Throw in another 10% on the currency devaluation and things were not looking good on the streets. The market has had to absorb a lot of stock. On Friday, however, the oil share scored a stunning rebound of 2.74%, biggest single session gain in 2015. The NSE 20 rebounded 64.39 points. Key is today's activity, to be honest. If we see the momentum build, that will be a good sign that we might have seen a bottom. Gerard T. Baker says the share of US petroleum from foreign sources is 27% at its lowest level since 1985. Vala Afshar tweeted this morning, the world as we have created it is a process of our thinking. It cannot be changed without changing our thinking. Bruno Meyerfeld tweeted Longonot, which is a extinct volcano just a little bit down the road here. Took it early in the morning. It's been very cold and misty in Nairobi of late. Then I like this quote from Arthur Rimbaud: "I've stretched ropes from steeple to steeple, garlands from window to window, golden chains from star to star, and I dance." Flickr tweeted "Infinity Sky," photo by Rosie English. Very beautiful, I thought it was too. It's a thin line between noisy and buzzy. Part of it is down to a little thing called the Lombard effect. First described by Etienne Lombard in 1911, the Lombard effect is a phenomenon in which speakers alter their vocal production in noisy environments, such as loud parties or restaurants, explains Priscilla Lau of University of California. In other words, diners speak loudly in loud restaurants, and then the people at neighboring tables turn up the volume of their own speech in order to be heard. Political Reflections NDTV tweeted "The Face of War. Ukraine artist creates Putin portrait with bullet shells." Took me back to something I said on the 12th of January 2015 when I said the oil warfare specialist, President Obama, has wrestled the price of crude to below $50 a barrel, and with that effected a chokehold on Vladimir Putin. And then this was an interesting bit: US NATO military deployments, economic warfare, Goldman Sachs, and the next financial meltdown, global research. Modern warfare is by no means limited to the sphere of military and intelligence operations. Washington not only imposes economic sanctions on countries which do not support its imperial agenda, it also fosters the outright destabilization of national economies. While the Pentagon and NATO coordinate military operations against sovereign countries, Wall Street carries out concurrent destabilizing actions on financial markets, including the rigging of the oil, gold, and foreign exchange markets directed against Russia and China. It's called financial warfare. It's part of the same global agenda. It's implemented alongside and in coordination with the worldwide deployment of the US NATO military machine. In this regard, Obama's pivot to Asia directed against China, involving the deployment of US naval forces in the South China Sea, is reinforced through concurrent destabilizing actions on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. The ultimate intent is to undermine, through non-military means, the national economy of the People's Republic of China. Just because you see the world one way today does not mean it will be that way tomorrow. That was a good one. Muhammad Ali Yahya, second Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, met with King Abdullah in Jordan. This was, I think, over the weekend, and I couldn't resist this from the DPRK news service. Invasion of Japanese military midgets thwarted by new Pyongyang time zone. Cowards blame synchronization for defeat in East Sea of Korea. Al Jazeera and others reported that officers and civilians were injured in a bomb attack on an Istanbul police station. And I concluded by saying Erdogan has a match and he sits atop a tinderbox. And I saw this photograph of a plume of smoke rising from the rocky fire near Clear Lake, California. The United States has sent 6 F-16 jets and about 300 personnel to Incirlik Air Base in Turkey on Sunday, the US military said. I'll put up a photograph of those and also a photograph of US military vehicles blocking the road near Camp Integrity after Taliban fighters tried to storm it on Friday. Final political reflection is the crown of the Emperor Bahadur Shah II, the last Mughal emperor. Currency markets: Euro 109.64, dollar index around 97.56, Japanese yen 124.67, Swissy 0.9831 when I looked last, the Aussie is at 0.7363, India rupee 63.775, South Korean won 1164.15, Rial 350.73, Egyptian pound 782.61, and the rand 1264.75. Dollar index, my target remains 110. I'll put up a 3-month chart. Euro dollar below parity. I'll put up a 3-month chart of that as well. And Reuters, Jamie at Reuters says a major headache for the Bank of England, and fast becoming the key reason it can't raise rates, is the increase in sterling's trade-weighted index. Moving to the commodity markets, the aggregate Bloomberg Commodities Index is down 61% from its 2008 peak and 46% from the 2011 post-crisis high. Almost all commodity markets have taken a severe beating lately. The aggregate Bloomberg Commodities Index, as I said, is down 61% from its 2008 peak. The commodity supercycle is dead in the water, is what I said on the 3rd of November 2014. Gold, let me put up a 6-month chart of that, 1094. I expect it to tumble again. Crude oil, Brent touched a 6-month low of 48.26, now around 49. And NYMEX touched 43.60, 43.35, currently at 44.03. I'll put up a 6-month chart of NYMEX, target is below 40. I like this headline in a blog on Reuters: "We're all frogs in a pot of slowly boiling water." It's global warming. Greenpeace tweeted "Nuclear war and climate change are not that different." Coming to Africa, President Museveni hosted President Kenyatta in Uganda. I'll put up the photograph. And then I learned again from the DPRK news service, Uganda Society for Study of Juche, idea of great Kim Il-sung, sends gift of bananas to Kim Jong-un in recognition of his scholarship. Zimbabwe's Mugabe says France urging African leaders to snub him. Mugabe told the Central Committee of the ruling ZANU-PF party on Friday that he's been snubbed by regional leaders while serving as rotating chairman of the African Union. In SADC, in Ivory Coast, President Alassane Ouattara blocked Mugabe from entering the country after his plane landed at the airport, Mugabe said, without giving more details. The French are saying that Mugabe is a dangerous man and don't work with him, he said. Britain is also trying to exert the same influence. Sub-Saharan Africa, according to Quartz, still overwhelmingly prefers the US to China. The Economist has a headline: "A tuna scandal strikes, a flagship investment in Mozambique is starting to stink." Almost 2 years ago, Credit Suisse raised $500 million on behalf of Empresa Mocambinana de Amatum, a newly created state-owned tuna fishing company. Given promises of a state guarantee, juicy high yield of 8.5%, the issue was oversubscribed. Some people wondered whether all that money would be used to paying for fishing boats. Prospectus given to investors suggested Mozambique had the potential to be a prosperous tuna hub. But it is becoming increasingly clear that Amatum had only a fraction of its promised potential, and much of the money would end up being spent on security equipment, not fishing boats. Interesting story, and it's in conclusion, The Economist quotes the lady who says, "Once again, I'm beginning to have nightmares about the Mozambican debt." A wildlife surprise for even the most jaded safari enthusiast. This is Gabon. I like this photograph from And Beyond Safari: endless ocean views, idyllic accommodation, and sensational adventures are the order of the day. And I think that looks like Mozambique. South African all shares up 4.508% this year. Dollar rand, as I said, 12.6475. I still think it's going to 17. Put up a photograph of Sheikh Mohammed and President Sisi on August the 6th on the occasion of the Suez Canal opening. The Egyptian stock market is down 10.25% this year. Nigerian stocks were the second biggest gainer worldwide last week. It's not going to last. They're down now 9.279% year to date. I think once they wake up to the oil price, we're going to see it tank again. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index down 3.803%. Jared Kidambi: How China is Building Africa's New Cities. Kilamba New City housing 500,000 in Angola. The UK is probing Soma's local ties. You can't make this stuff up. Have a look at the story in Africa Confidential. The link is on Rich Wrap-Ups. Pretty interesting. The man credited with bringing Japanzi to the table is Lebanese businessman Mohammed Ajami. A Russian oligarch of Georgian descent by the name of Georgy Japadidze is thought to be the main investor behind Soma. His arrival on the board came shortly after an obscure British Virgin Islands company called Winter Sky bought a 30% stake in Soma for $50 million. Japadiz's billionaire father Alexander is believed to be the money behind Winter Sky. Interesting story. Kenya current account deficit hits 614 billion shillings. But the important point to note is this: non-machinery imports are growing at less than a third of pre-2011 growth levels. This shouldn't keep any policymaker awake at night, as the current account deficit is due to increased importation of capital goods that will eventually lead to improved economic growth in the medium to long term. Kenya shilling, when I looked last, was back at the 101.10 level. Nairobi all shares spiked 2.75% higher on Friday. It's down 7.63% year to date now. NSE 20 rallied 1.48% on Friday. It's down 13.63% year to date. I'll just read you the commentary from Friday. Bulls, I said would cheer Friday's move because it was dynamic and aggressive to the upside. I said yes on Friday. The key is whether we gather momentum. If we do, we might well have witnessed the bottom for 2015. The market has had to absorb big lines of stock. Helios LLP's equity holding, and there is a sense the sellers are now done, and the market has absorbed all that stock. I think in part that's why we got such a strong reaction higher on Friday. Safaricom up 4.617%, and it's surging again today. KCB ramped 7% higher. It's higher today. Equity Group has had a very strong week last week, up 15.333%. EABL has been another standout, rallying 7.04% since issuing its full year earnings. So once again, thank you for stopping by. I am grateful.